Alright guys, I guess we got another reaction on our hands, and apparently Dustborn is even worse. It's even woker than expected. I don't even know how that is even, like, possible. But I guess we're gonna watch this Ref Says Desu video to understand what is going on here. I guess. Anyways, let's get into it.
Hey, what's up guys, Ref here. So today we're going to be once again
Ref
talking
here at
about
this point is
Dustborn.
a
Now over the past couple of
war
days since its
cry,
release,
to be fair.
watching the failure of this game is like watching a slow-moving car crash.
True
it is
and
really
real.
brutal to watch. For a game that's been labeled the wokest game ever, it really deserves that title because some of the main features of this game include using the power of words and literally weaponizing words against your enemies.
Again, the power of words thing. Oh my god, that's a Kish stream. The power of words thing is, in its core, like, it is a good idea. Like, in the right hands, the idea of using words in combat, or like using like just talking in specifics in a way, like to, for example, demoralize your enemy or something like that, like taunts and stuff. This could have been a great idea. However, it just failed, and I think the reason for that is that it's not in the right hands. It is absolutely not in the right hands.
And also using
That's just the way it is.
function to respond to microaggressions of your enemies.
Triggered the
really
trigger
no
button.
Surprise that this game has bombed to levels
Yep,
that are
76
actually. An
at
all-time peak of
at an all-time
76
high.
players, despite being propped up and promoted by games journalists all across the board.
And remember, guys, I don't think. By the way, you should definitely subscribe. I react to more videos of this kind. Please do that. You'd be a great help to the channel. Anyways, this was funded by the government. And at first it was just the EU. But when we look closely, it was also funded by the United States. Let that sink in. The taxes that you have paid, the taxes that I have paid, the taxes that your parents have paid, your grandparents if they still work, that all helped fight to finance this game. If I knew, if it was possible to sue these people for that, I'd be livid. I'd give them life, to be fair. Like, this is ridiculous. This is bullshit.
In fact, only a few hours before recording this video, there was a time where only 12 players were active on
12.
Dustborn. They couldn't even
Let
get
that
a
sink in.
baker's
12.
dozen. That's how bad things are. Now, in the last couple of days since the last video on Dustborn, there have been more screen caps coming out from this game from people who have really sacrificed their sanity to go out there and try out this game just for the laughs, and the new screen caps are absolutely hilarious. I have to share them with you. So here are some of the more in-game abilities. You can see this new...
Cancel! Wait. Cancel. We've learned how to cancel someone. Cancel will allow us to isolate people from their friends and compatriots in battle. This could be a useful tool against our enemies. They are not even hiding this shit anymore. They are not even hiding it. They are not trying to hide what they're doing. When we call this, like, when we call this canceling, which at times I do feel is like kind of a little, cringe, but they know exactly what they are doing. Like, stuff like this proves this. They know exactly what they are doing. Here, isolate people from their friends and compatriots. A useful tool against enemies. They know 100% what they are doing.
New cancel function saying, we've learned how to cancel someone. Cancel will allow us to isolate people from their friends and compatriots in battle. This could be a useful tool.
They know 100% what they are doing.
Just so you're
100%.
aware, a lot of the people who are behind the studio and supporting the studio in this game, they will tell you cancel culture isn't real, and yet they have it as an ability in one of their games that makes it sound
They
like
know
it's some sort
100%
of
what they are doing.
superhuman ability. So they love cancel culture. They love canceling people, and this is just proof of that. But there was also a couple of other ones that came out that are just as
100%
ridiculous.
do they know
How
what
about
they
the
are
bully
causing?
function? We've learned to bully people.
Bully!
Bully gives us the power to force people to do something they may not want to do, or to make them feel bad about themselves. In fights, this could be highly effective on targeted enemies.
Imagine, again, socialists, by the way. A lot of these people are socialists who, like, are for this kind of stuff. I thought bullying was bad. We shouldn't bully people. Oh, remember. It's bullying when they do it. It's not bullying when we do it, right? Rules for thee, but not for me? Normalize. We've learned how to normalize negative emotions. Normalize gives us the ability to make people think certain behaviors or feelings are normal, but I'm not sure it will do much for us in a fight. Yeah. 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 What do you say about this? Like, there's nothing you can say about this. Like, I've seen the cancel one. I've seen that one, admittedly. But the normalized one, the bully one, I have not seen these. I am glad I watched this video. I have not seen these. They are not trying to hide it anymore whatsoever.
And how about the normalize feature? We've learned how to normalize negative emotions. Normalize gives
there are things that should not be normalized. We are already trying to normalize cheating.
Normal, but I'm
that is
not
one of the
sure
worst things ever.
Do much for us in a fight. Yeah, they're just going mask off with these things. This is their
they are not hiding it.
Basically,
they are no
of tools
longer
that they use
doing
in their everyday life on social media to try to cancel and attack people over a bunch of virtue signaling and nonsense. However, that stuff might be a bit goofy, but this is a much more serious claim, as Vera Dark here shares. She tags a bunch of games journalist outlets saying, "You guys have been covering Dustborn. When are the articles releasing about
GTA Online apartments?
Copying and pasting the GTA Online."
They plagiarized the GTA Online apartments. Dear God.
Apartments. So
yo, Rockstar.
From people that are trying
come
to
here. We got a problem.
In-game interiors of these apartments,
copying apartment layout 1-to-1, painting TV, rooms, even small garden.
A lot of people think,
oh my God,
this is a direct ripoff, which is even worse when you think about the fact
that
this game is funded in part by the government.
150,000
euros to make this game.
150,000 euros.
They're still cutting corners, and apparently, and a lot of people believe, are stealing assets despite getting government.
And again,
funding.
I've seen screenshots claiming that the United States.
This claim was enough to get some of the employees at Red Thread Games out. So here we have Thea Berg, the game designer at
I've seen screenshots of the United States funding this.
It's amazing. She's in her
funding this because to protect against, like, what was the term? I don't remember, like hate campaigns and shit.
Villain era, gay agenda connoisseur by Dustborn. So you can see
villain
her
era.
Last tweet before she would eventually go private.
You are in the dumbass era, because this game has failed. Also, gay agenda connoisseur. What does that even mean? What do you mean, gay agenda? Especially if you consider why politicize LGBTQ. Shouldn't this be something that is by LGBTQ people, for LGBTQ people, and not an agenda? Because an agenda is always political. Always. Without parole, it is always in some form political. It has in some form political motivations. I'm starting to have the same problem that I had with, like, I already have that problem with, like, the LGBTQ community, of it being politics and not for the people. I had the same thing with a problem with Black Lives Matter, because that the idea is good, but it was not by the people for the people. It essentially was a company, and the person that ran that company grabbed the money that was collected through like Black Lives Matter and then disappeared into nothingness, which turned the movement into a failed movement.
Quote retweeting Mark Kern, who shared that government funding right there, and they say Grum's preferred method of finding funding is e-begging, by the way. So this is a pretty crazy thing, right? So on the one hand, they're
EU
trying
tax
to
money.
shame
I'm
Mark
about
Kern
to get
for
absolutely
seeking out
livid.
crowdfunding for his own projects.
I'm going to
willing volunteers who are giving
explode.
over money for the game and its production, and trying to say that her way is better, which is taking money from taxpayers. Like, that money could have gone to, I don't know, schools, helping people.
That money could have gone to schools, roads, fucking bridges. We have horrible bridges in Europe, and they refuse to restore those bridges. Internet. What about internet infrastructure? That could have gone into infrastructure. Europe has partially, not everywhere, but I'm guaranteeing that this money all came from Germany, because we fund shit like that.
People out, but no, it went to your game that only a dozen people are playing right now, and it's basically the laughing stock. Somehow they think that's better, and also keep in mind they're getting funded by the government. This game, the entire plot, is supposed to be the point of the perspective of a rebellion, a group of punks who are fighting back against the government, and yet here's the creators accepting handouts from the government to produce this game.
I'm gonna not exactly quote, but I'm gonna quote a German content creator on this. The people that think that they are on the left are not leftists. Throughout the history of leftism, it was always the small, tiny underground left, in quotes, against the government. The left rebelling against the government. How can that be the case? How do you rebel? First of all, in Norway, they have a left-leaning government. Like, most in Europe are left-leaning. So you are definitely not against the government. You've also taken government money. That's a different. Left does not mean woke. But woke is always left. Because like both political like sides are completely fine. They are only terrible at their extremes, because they both end at their extremes. They both end in dictatorship. But that's for another topic. The problem I'm trying to say is that this game is created in the view of a group that fights against the government while being funded by the government in an era where most governments are for the side of Dustborn. It is weird. It is horrid.
Going around of this individual, and right here you can see that she has the Apple logo tattooed to her face, which is just beautiful.
Oh god. What is this? Let me guess, she's also anti-capitalist. This is like the what is it? Is this a caricature of like a leftist? Like, honestly? Is she a Fed?
Full irony here. So like, you know, she's trying to make this game about being a punk and being anti-establishment, but then you have one of the most profitable companies in the world tattooed
like anti-capitalist.
It's just crazy.
Let me tattoo that
just like
Apple on my
like
face. Good.
Enters the discourse voluntarily. Now people are going to look through her account and see other things she has said. And just like all these
Oh
other games
God.
journalists and other game developers who are woke, they always have skeletons in their closets when it comes to their
God, I'm
form of
reading
tweets.
these
So
things.
here's a couple of them, beginning with this. Wow, do not read the comments on the Goodbye Volcano High trailer on YouTube, man. Sometime in the future, gamers might realize that everything isn't made to cater specifically to you, and that's okay. Personally, can't wait to fulfill my dream of being a
I'm gonna
gay
say something real
dinosaur.
quick off
So this is
the.
interesting. This is another person saying, as a game designer, I know better than you in terms of what you want. I know what you want more than you
I'm
do.
gonna say
And yeah,
something real
as it
quick
turns
once
out,
he's
through
finished.
their own game, apparently they don't know what gamers want. They looked for the modern audience, which is non-existent. They didn't show up, and that's why this.
Again, they will create that modern audience, because eventually people will just say, ah, fuck it, I can't do much about it. Let's just roll with it. They will create that modern
Game
audience.
peaked out at about
Because
70
there will be
players on
people that
release.
eat that up.
So here's another one also saying 50% of gamers are women, by the way, and this will be a.
That is not the case. If we look at, for example, like, what was it? What's the word? Surveys. There were surveys, for Capcom. Capcom that made some surveys. And they look what, like, gender and what, their, like, players like. I don't know for what it was. I think it was for fighting games. I cannot tell. 83% of that player base was male. I don't even think it was fighting games. I think it was just games in general made by Capcom. Around 83 were male. 83%. And I think that sums up the general, like gaming population. Like the general amount of gamers. Like 20% female, 80% male. I think that makes pretty good sense. Because when we look back 10 years ago, if that made sense, like the game in gaming industry and content creation hasn't changed that much in the last 10 years. And even back then, not a lot of women were making gaming content. Not a lot of women are still doing gaming content. And I think that if 50% were to play games, you could also assume that 50% of gaming content creators would be women. Which is not the case. I think 80-20 an 80-20 ratio is probably accurate.
Common theme for these next ones saying men as a concept was cooked. Yes, half of the world's population is cooked in terms of their own existence. That's a fair thing to say. And the next one says men are the weakest link truly.
Let's look at that. Let's look at that for example, for relationships. If we are cooked, heterosexual 50-50 divorce rate. Gay men 15%. Gay women 75%. Who is cooked here? Who keeps the infrastructure running? That is men. Who makes sure that she can even use Twitter? A man. Well, not for Brazil. Pray for our Brazilian friends, by the way. They can no longer use Twitter. Because Twitter had to stop operations in Brazil, unfortunately. Yeah. Like, saying half of the population does not matter. Well, half of the population keeps society running is questionable. What else did she say? Let's go back real quick. I usually don't go back, but I'll go back real quick. Men are the weakest link. Again, everything you see around you, everything that you use, was created and is maintained by men, which makes zero sense.
In terms of their own existence, that's a fair thing to say. And the next,
you know what? People who are the weakest link, people like that, specifically people like that, are the weakest without a doubt, because they cannot take adversary. They cannot take when somebody does not agree with them.
Next one says, men are the weakest
So I'm done
link,
with my rant. Let's
truly.
continue.
Here's another one saying, I will put knitting men and sexy non-binary peeps in your video game, and I will never stop. Be afraid. I come not in peace.
I don't see the problem with men that know how to knit. Is knitting what I think it is? Is it what I think it is? Let me Google real quick. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't see the problem. I know how to do that. My mom taught me. And it is quite fun. I know how to do it. And like sexy non-binary peeps, like, wow. The thing that these people do not get, if they put in minorities in the game, it's not about the minorities. It's if they are a good character. That is the important factor. There are plenty of black anime characters. But guess what? People love them because they are good characters. It's about that. Mostly when there is, in Western media, when there is a minority character, it usually is a bad character because first of all he's written badly, and second of all he's only there to check a box. That character.
Well, apparently
this is
they
brain
were
rot.
pretty afraid because after that they would go private.
got her ass beat.
These people have when they come out and try to lash out.
Good.
But the second they get even an ounce of criticism, they immediately.
I don't understand this
behavior.
behavior.
The games industry, whether it's journalists or developers, are private right now because they cannot.
People like that are exactly the
except,
problem.
Or in spite of being so outspoken about their own games and their own agenda that they're trying to insert into those games. But I want to read this
criticism.
Comment from
People that
Savvy
disagree.
about this game developer or this game designer.
Savvy.
And I think this really is just the
she played this entire game.
If you don't know, Savvy's been doing some playthroughs of Dustborn.
She is playing this. Has played this entire game.
For entertainment, suffering through all of that. But they made this comment
poor woman.
About the
get her a
therapist
after this,
and also the comments made by this game designer. So I'm just
straight up plagiarizing shit. That is insane. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Here is one of the designers.
This is bullshit.
Tweeting at someone calling them out for copying the GTA apartment interior to a near exact quick. This is incredible. During gameplay, I would make quips about things being stolen and no original thought put into anything, but I didn't think it would be this shameless. The profile stating villain era sort of explains everything though. Given the game presents villains as good guys, you can also briefly see from their feed that they look down upon crowdfunding and would much rather use taxpayer dollars that could have gone to, say, a school, a rent assist program, or something to benefit society. The player count...
You could have given these... Here in Germany, for example, we have a big problem with, like... people who are too old to work, like... People who, desperately need money. Imagine what you could have done with that, with $150,000. You could have put that, for example, in like a nursery. Like a nursery home. I don't get it.
It really does make sense, though. No original thought, so no one is really interested, not even the target audience. Game design is part of...
I wouldn't say no
looking at environments
thought put into it, because the idea of, like, again, using words, like combat systems, seems interesting. You could have used that really well in the right hands.
Lazy and do not care about your product. This was apparent from the story, but the lazy mindset is mirrored everywhere in this game/visual novel. It is a shame they took advantage of
Woke cannot create, can only destroy. That is the problem. That's the reason why Concord failed.
Lessons learned. Yeah, that's pretty brutal, but where did she lie? The fact that they're using government...
That Concord, like, they're gonna lose... Sony's gonna lose like $100 million from this.
...efforts for their own projects is crazy.
You might as well give that away to somebody.
Government funding is the best avenue for a lot of these people. Because nowadays, people are starting to realize these woke games are failures and they don't want to invest. But governments see some kind of special interest in...
Yeah, they need the government money, because without the government money, these games would not be able to be created. And I think that before Dustborn, the studio that created this game made some really good games. I cannot tell what this was, but there was somebody who said that they actually made really good games.
Whatever
So what
woke
happened?
agenda they have, so they're giving them money. And hopefully one day that well dries up too, and people should be shamed for using tax dollars for disasters like Dustborn. Now, much like
Tax dollars should not go to video games. Tax dollars should go back to the people.
Dustborn, Concord has been an absolute disaster. This was a AAA
This should be
release
invested
that
into
came
something
out about a day after Dustborn,
people
and
need.
it too has flopped. A game that took 8 years of development and millions of dollars
dude.
of budget
This is
been an
pathetic.
absolute disaster. You can see right now, 100 players or so are actively in the game.
What is that?
Terrible,
3 lobbies,
terrible
depending on
results
how
for
big
them.
they
Much
are.
like Dustborn,
Are these lobbies
despite
20?
this just
Lobbies are
being a
30?
complete dead on arrival
Gaming
release,
journalists.
the media, the game
Concord.
journalists are doing everything in their
And then
power
the
to try to pump numbers
Attack on Titan
into
memes.
this game. Here's some more posts from the last couple of days.
Jesus.
This one saying, Concord is selling much better on PlayStation Store than Steam. Data reveals Concord is number 511 on Steam's bestsellers list, but Firewalk's new shooter sits at number 42 on PS Store's top sellers list. Yeah, they're basically trying to cope and also manipulate some of the numbers.
Helldivers 2 is currently at 33. How old is Helldivers 2? A year? 2 years? This is a new game. This is a new game.
And the layouts of these various platforms to make it seem like it's
and look at how successful
so well
the game was, Helldivers.
Well,
until you know the fuck up by Sony again. Sony likes to fuck up shit
showing that there's not
quite a
much
lot.
Sales going on here. But here's
It
another one
appears.
saying Concord is much better than the hate would lead you to believe. Our review of Firewalk's debut first-person shooter. Please watch.
I
Please
heard
play
that the
this game.
gameplay is not
Please
even
buy
that
this
bad.
game, please.
The gameplay
This
is
basically
like
what all these
not the
game
issue.
journalists do.
It's
They
like
are very
everything
desperate.
else.
This was
Character
their-
design.
The thing they were pushing.
Like,
they were
this is
pushing
like-
Concord so hard, and it instantly fell on its face. And now
You
they're doing
took
everything in their power to
Overwatch,
push
took
more
all the
people towards
shitty
it. You can
shitty
see
aspects
PC
of it and
Gamer
cloned it.
Article here saying players seem to like Concord, but its $40 price tag has led to
The thing is, this game cannot compete. Overwatch is free. Overwatch 2 is free. This is a $40 price tag. No way in hell can you compete. You can only compete if this game was way better. Like, way better.
Black Myth Wukong would have failed. Oh wait, no, it sold millions and millions. Over
That's
10
such a
million
good game.
copies,
It is
and the
such a
price
good
tag
game.
Didn't seem
It
to be an
is
issue. Maybe
incredible.
the price tag is an issue because the game is really bad. The quality is not worth $40, and to many people, it's probably not worth $10 or $20. But also, there's now a guilt shaming avenue people are going. Let's read this tweet. With regards to Concord, take a moment to remember that there are real people who for years have poured their heart and soul into making something to entertain you. It's all...
That is the sad part. There might have been people who just work there, and they're getting... It's not the one that came up with the idea. It's not like those big fishes. Like fish. It's not the big fish that get punished for this. It's the regular ass dude who works at that game, who is not gonna get paid, who is probably gonna get fired.
all laughs,
that is the sad part.
Told you so today, but tomorrow it'll be more remakes, safe sequels, and the lack of new IPs or any risks being taken. I'll always root for new games to succeed. Yeah, so now they're trying to shame.
I also root for new games to succeed. The Monster Taming Direct is coming up on the 2nd September. I'm gonna watch that. There's gonna be plenty of good games. It's not the AAA titles that I'm waiting for, because those are dog shit.
And basically saying, like, if you're
most of them
this game or making fun of what's happening, you're somehow
they are not
like a bad
good
person,
anymore.
And you're also going to lead to less innovation in the industry, which is hilarious because Concord really sold itself as a knockoff Overwatch.
Yeah,
and also
it is not innovation.
Earlier, I mean, they're
and also remember
assets from other games. So, is there really any new IPs we're talking about?
There cannot be any innovation if you first of all put all the money into graphics. That's not gonna work out. It's just gonna, those few pixels you're gonna get, those are not going to make much difference. You're just going to waste time. The game's just going to be longer in development. Like, Elden Ring is a beautiful game, but it's not high-end graphics. If you zoom in, you're going to get pixels, but it doesn't matter. It's a good game, and it has a great art style. Modern games all look the same, because you're aiming for real-life graphics. Most people do not. If I buy a game, if it has too realistic graphics, I'm not gonna buy it. I want to escape. Games are to escape reality. They are to relax, not indulge in more reality.
But here it sounds like they're all just kind of feeding off of each other, and the results are obvious. People aren't interested in this nonsense.
Look at this.
A bunch of
2K likes, 2.5K likes, almost the same amount of like replies.
Virtue signaling,
yeah.
But also they're just not original. So yeah, it's not too surprising that people just aren't tuning in and purchasing these games. But anyways,
why would they?
For this latest update on these two games here, Dustborn.
This is in fact the Wokest game.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always,
this makes me angry.
Share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. What can you say? This is in fact the Wokest game ever made, and honestly, it deserves to fail. And I hope that any other game. By the way, I have Good Boy ASMR in there. Oh, the autoplay was crazy on that. Anyways, yeah, it just deserves to fail, and I hope that many more games that follow that path will also fail. Sure, it is sad for the people that, worked on these, but like, what else should you do? What else can you do? Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.